So tonight we are here to celebrate this wonderful new book. I think most of you by now will be clutching a copy in your hot little hands, and we'll see what a beautiful production. I think Pauline and I certainly think it's a beautiful production. It looks lovely, it feels lovely, and of course it has Sharon Monagle's wonderful image of alchemy on the cover, which once again we're very fortunate to have Sharon's artwork available to us in Liquid Amber Press. Yes, there you go, Roxanne. I can see you flashing your book. I love that. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move into the first bracket, get right into it now.
Not in the first one.
Pardon? Oh, hang on, we've got somebody. So just be a little bit careful to keep yourself on mute. I can come in and mute you if we need to, but just be careful not to come off mute. So we're here to celebrate the poets in the long list of the prize who are in our Poetry of Encounter anthology. And there's the list of the poets who are going to be reading for you tonight. So I'll hand over to Anne Carson at this point to kick us off. Anne Carson and Yvonne.
Thank you so much, Rose. It's really wonderful to be here. I'm coming and joining you from unceded Boon Wurrung country on Port Phillip Bay. And it's just, as Rose said, terrific to be celebrating this wonderful anthology. So first off, we have Yvonne Adami, and I'm just going to read each person's bio as a way to introduce them. So Yvonne Adami's poems have been published in magazines and journals. Her poetry chapbook Tidal was published by the Melbourne Poets Union in 2017. Her poetry chapbook Crossings was published by Ginninderra Press in 2021. So if you'd like to unmute Yvonne and read us your poems.
Found photograph. Photograph is a secret about a secret. Diane Arbus. On the restless tide, beyond the strait, in dark corners of the past, in reefs and shallows of memory, in frocks cut from satin and Sunday best shoes, my aunts step out to the very thought of you, into the eyes of men coming from war. Now they stare from lacquered frames, in the house sheltered beneath the cape. Year on year, earth and sky whisper with ancient tongues of births and burials. The clock of time stills softly, the hours, the days, the years. Still the mystery in the grey eyes of grandmothers, in the milky eyes of children.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to hear the poet read the poem. I mean, you know, it's wonderful to read them on the page and the poems come alive on the page, of course, but to hear you read that is really terrific. And I think we'll probably feel that as each poet reads their poem, that it brings another element of life to it. Thank you very much. The next poet is Sue Aldred, and unfortunately she's unable to be with us tonight. So I'm going to read the bio and then Rose is going to read the poem. So Sue Aldred lives in bushland outside Melbourne. She and fellow writers, which is a wonderful group called the Literary Optimists, self-published an anthology in 2019. Highly commended in the 2022 Venny Holmgren Prize, she has just completed a long-form poem on whaling to be published by Ginninderra Press.
Okay, I'll read Sue's poem. And don't forget too, for those of you who've got the anthology, you know, do follow in the book, because listening and reading can be a pretty wonderful combo. This is a poem by Sue Aldred called For Graham. cocooned in clothing of careful choice, layered, protected, disguised for the world. We aim for suitability, comfort, dignity, thus draped for our one-off encounter, our once-in-a-lifetime process of confirmation, clarity, identity. We journey on black ribboned roads, destination choked in seemingly downward spiral, in sealed, wheeled bubble of separation, isolation. Surge forward, looming, shining steel and glass towers reflect grey clouds, chasms between buildings form cliff faces for winds to tunnel and howl. Roads, bridges, rails flash past fleetingly, harsh, unfamiliar landscapes of metal, stone, worlds away from cool, forested hills of home. This year, this open then closed COVID year, this depopulated city of ghosts, this moment of destination. Propelled automatons, we approach, a boom gate rises, purpose stated, QR code complete, sanitised entry permitted. Shaking, we wait. In masked welcome, she enters, compassion with a clipboard, process to follow. Sign here, state relationship. Follow me. And then we see you, sternly beautiful, beautifully stern, remote, motionless, removed. Dark hair curling, brow creased, expression. Puzzled, perhaps? Trance-like, we approach, surround you. Bestow kisses to oh so cool cheeks, smooth those springing dark curls. We are stunned by the enormity. Lashes gently caress, brush your cheeks, your face flushed, small veins visible, lips at rest, one atop the other, nothing to say. 5 o'clock shadow, forever. For you, no more struggle, voices, conflict, no way out other than this, leaving us eternally questioning. How was it at the end? White folded collar, so clean, so crisp, except for one moist teardrop falling. Now we see you, but you are not here. You are nowhere, everywhere.
Very moving. Thanks, Rose. The next poet is Libby Angel, and she is one of the 2 emerging poets who won the Emerging Poets Prize, and I'll read her bio. Libby Angel is a poet and novelist and winner of the 2018 Barbara Jeffress Award. Her second novel, Where I Slept, will appear through Text Publishing in 2023. She lives on Dja Dja Wurrung country.
Hi, I just wanted to say a quick hello to people from my poetry group who have come to support. And in fact, this poem arose from one of those sessions, and in particular a prompt given by Nandi Chani, which constitutes the first line. And the poem is called Nothing Happens, or Encounters with the Departed. Against the leathery walls of night, spirits of the restless dead knock, arrhythmia of the soul. In his misfit chair he sits, idiosyncratic and rich, a paper-cocked hat on his head, veins alive with streams of fire. I told you I would never leave you. His foot on a red tambourine. Day drops its guard against anxious stars, my mother raised among them, as material as the sideboard with its pearly cups of air. In adherence to the protocols of darkness, she is outraged I do not recognize her. You left the window open, and here I am. I have simply lost her number. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a wonderful follow-on from the previous poem, actually. The next poet is Bridget Webster, and she's the other emerging poet who co-won the Emerging Poets Prize. So Bridget Webster. She is a filmmaker and fledgling poet living on unceded Wurundjeri country. She is an aspiring writer and theatre maker that likes insects, eye contact, music, savoury oatmeal, I'd love the recipe, and learning new words. So Bridget, go ahead.
Hi, so honoured to be in this collection alongside so many wonderful poets. Swarms of mating gnats are also known as ghosts. I have a gnat swarm at sunset, an endless looping scroll. Motion blurs, my phone camera blinks too quick to look. See, there it is. Dark nodes spawn dancing helixes, skinny wind tadpoles slipping into streams, each insect invoking desire lines of flight. I watch them for a time, play fight with the urge to open my mouth, invite them in, to taste that weightless chaos, imbibe their excitation. Dusk falls, soft as fallout, and something emerges. They make me think of swarm mechanics, network mathematics, blue sky sprites and exoskeletal micrometeorites, convoluting, coalescing, a hive mind remembering atoms of itself. I crack open, ask the gnat tangle what point there is to this orgiastic ensemble. The tangle does not have any spare breath with which to reply. I did not hear their shepherd tone. The tangle tells me Vivaldi knew it well, went courting ghosts in summer. I put it on and there it is. Velveteen bow kisses fluttering gut, strings stretched taut across mammoth bone bridge atop oiled rosewood groaning under the desperate, dissonant weight of please. Keep cresting and cresting and cresting, and they tell me summer is a spirit world of excess and ecstasy, that the walls between them thin at sunset. I remind the tangle that ghosts have no ears with which to love the sound of violins, and it replies that they have no voice too, and yet there it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yet there it is, a wonderful finishing line. Fantastic allusions in that poem. Okay, so the next poet is John Bartlett, and he is the author of 8 books of fiction, non-fiction and poetry. He was the winner of the 2020 Ada Cambridge Poetry Prize and highly commended in the 2021 Mundarang Poetry Competition. He reviews and podcasts at beyondtheestuary.com.
Thank you, Anne. Hieroglyphs of breath. I loved you in another country with words not mine, with daylight textbook phrases. Akosi one, Tag Australia. Nights, my words on bat wings skittered across rooftops between us, slipped through the window of your sleeping room, wrote secret hieroglyphs on your naked skin. Words licked away our shared bitter spaces, left just bloodied handprints, my agnostic stigmata. We scanned each other's bodies, watched for smiles that might mean something or nothing, turn of the head that might say something else, reduced ourselves to blind semaphores of hands and flags. How do you translate what bubbles up from the belly of loneliness, roars white hot between the thighs, incinerates all resolution? Enunciate this something that has no other words. I remember Ba'alam, my love, Ba'alam means goodbye.
Thank you very much, John. That was a lovely reading. The next poet is Alison J. Barton. Alison J. Barton is a Wiradjuri poet based in Naarm. In 2022, her work was recognised in the W.B. Yeats for Australia and Oodgeroo Noonuccal Poetry Prizes, and in the Best of Australian Poetry. Find Alison on Instagram at Alison_J_Barton.
Thank you, Anne. Just a couple of notes about my poem before I read it.
Alison, excuse me, you're very soft. I don't know if others are finding that, but
My computer doesn't pick up sound very well.
no, you're still very soft.
Right.
Are you finding that, Anne?
I can lean very close.
She's got a problem at her place.
Is this any better?
Not much, no.
We're all right.
We're nearly there.
No, we're all right. It's just that she's not being heard by anyone.
Okay.
I can hear
Okay. So can you turn your microphone up?
Get the gallery. Well, and then we can zoom in on the speaker. Okay.
Is it
Just going to
something?
finish my dinner if I'm too obvious. Oh, okay.
Alison, sometimes here's a trick to actually just log out of the Zoom and come back in. You know, it's like turning it on and off again, really. Why don't we do that? Why don't we move on to the next poet, and then we'll come back and do Alison next. How about that?
Sorry.
Yeah, give it a go.
Yeah, fingers crossed. See you in a minute.
Okay, so next is Roxanne Bodsworth. And Roxanne Bodsworth, RTB. There seems to be another sound. Is everyone else muted?
Oh, this side they are. Okay, so let's see.
Not sure who that is. Can you mute everyone, Rose?
Mute.
I have, Anne, so now you'll have to unmute yourself.
No.
There still seems to be.
Karen, I think, can you just...
Okay. Roxanne Bodsworth, RTB, love that, is a poet and farmer living on Pandurang country, Victoria. Roxanne received a commendation in the 2022 Melbourne Poets Union Prize and was a finalist in the Victorian Poetry Slam in 2020. Her poetry has been published in several journals under her previous pen name of Therese. Thank you.
There we go. You can hear me now. I'm name changing in the process of developing a different identity, I guess. I just want to say with this poem, I just want to really pay my respects to the Pangerang elders from this area who have shared so generously with us, especially Uncle Freddie Dowling, who collected the language, some of which I use in this poem, and permission from his family to do that. He's passed away, but also have permission to use his name. And just some context for it, because of the nature of the poem, that the state government withdrew funding from the Pangerang Cultural Centre at one point, and there was a massive community gathering in support, after which they did restore it. And this poem comes from that day when we gathered and from the moment of the welcome to country. So it's called Clan Language. A Bapangarang woman, an elder, steps up to the microphone. A magpie, Yerdwa, lands on the branch of a nearby River Red Gum, Urunga. The elder begins to speak in Bapangarang. The magpie begins to sing its clan song. The elder pauses, draws breath. The magpie finishes its song. The elder welcomes us to country in English. Yerdwa takes wing, flies away.
Thank you so much, Roxanne. It was wonderful to include that poem in the anthology, and the wonderful juxtaposition of the human and the non-human. So thank you. The next poet is Galen Carbis.
Oh, hang on. I think we've got Alison back. We could try it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you. I've just logged in with my phone, so I'm hoping that you can hear me a bit better. Can you?
Yes, go ahead. Thanks.
Great. Okay, thank you. Just a couple of notes about my poem before I start. In section 1, the phrase "to health" is crossed out on the page, and in section 6, the word erasure is underlined. The poem is called The Phases of Psychoanalysis. 1. The demand is one of power, a flesh and blood psyche, hunting beyond constructed and reconstructed borders. Suspended in idealism, the asker seeks relentless to bind symptoms to health. 2. The work is in the repetition, the wrong way around, gaze, imaginary, other, you, not you. 3. Transference. 4. Speech is the end to mortality, a hiding place for fragments. 5. Intractable signs put to rest in the aftermath. 6. I corral my guilt, surge to words snapped from my palms on strings, end to end, erasure on the wind. 7. These are the wounds I got from the story. These are the ones I got from telling it. Thank you.
That's a wonderful ending. Thank you very much. Okay, the next poet is Galen Carbis. Galen's first collection of poetry, Anecdotal Evidence, Five Islands Press, was awarded finalist in the International Book Awards 2019. Galen's second poetry book, I Have Decided to Remain Vertical, Puncher and Watman, was published in October 2022. Galen teaches creative writing.
Thanks, Anne. My poem is called, sorry, My Mother's World, after the documentary, The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez. The film begins with shots of Chicago, skyscrapers. My mother says, "Look at all those buildings. I never knew buildings could be so tall. Look at that." I've never before heard my mother comment on buildings, skyscrapers, the world. Since losing a lot of her sight and turning to audiobooks, how she speaks has changed. Some years ago, I was in New York. I went to the Empire State Building. I tried to tell my mother, tried to convey to her how nothing could ever be the same now that I'd gone there. I told my mother, you know, the one where Cary Grant was supposed to meet Deborah Kerr in An Affair to Remember. Oh, I remember my mother saying, Where is it anyway? New York. You know where that is? I asked her. Well, I wouldn't know. I've never been there, my mother said. America, Mum. It's in America. This conversation was a long time ago. Now I say to my mother, Mum, have you ever seen a globe of the world or an atlas? What's that? Atlas, my mother says, making it sound like some kind of supermarket. I mean, have you ever seen a map of the world, all the countries in the world, I say. No, why would I? It's not like I'm going to go there, my mother says.
Thanks so much, Gayleen. The combination of poignancy and humour is really striking. Okay, so the next poet is Emily Collier. Emily Collier lives on Wurundjeri land where she writes poetry, prose and performance. Her poetry book, Do You Have Anything Less Domestic, was published in 2022 by Vagabond Press and was awarded the inaugural Five Islands Press Prize just this week. Emily is a PhD candidate at RMIT researching feminist creative practice. Go ahead, Em.
Thanks, Anne. Thanks, everyone. What a wonderful night to be part of. My poem is called Faithful. It was uneasy. I was not a dog person. Our family beagle rubbed his tail raw on the coffee table, ran too hard, too fast on the lead, and I let go, sweaty-fingered panic time and again. Dogs reflect owners, they say, and those years were growling times. Then I met you. Your small dog arms stretch up to rest on my thigh, your little meat tongue licking the inside of my wrist, your click-click trot, ears up following, wait outside every door. Such unabashed need, faith in this frail human. The track record is blemished, our interspecies enmeshment. End of a dust dry day, loyal hound Orthrus guarding Geryon's red cattle. Did he see it coming? Big hero Heracles wielding his club, 10th labour murderous intent, wrong place, wrong time, dog. Little Laker, eager to please, hopeful for treats. Good girl, what a good girl. They will be back, they always come back, hurtling forever into the black sky. And you, the moment your puppies slipped out, turning to lick them, bloody and panting, your lick tongue on my arm. Where were you left to grieve? How long before you were mounted again, the way you snarl at big dogs now? I've made a familiar of your shadow who arrives unbidden, often early morning. Effort to climb out of bed into blue tile shower, lugging our heavy bodies, until I learned stillness. Listen to the distant howl from another place, part of me. Your animal self needs attention. Like next door's kelpie pup fretting left alone for an hour. Stand at my kitchen window, catch her eye, try to soothe through cold glass. I come back to you, not a metaphor. Slope of your rib cage, cocooning that quick beat dog heart, quivers warm beneath my person hand as you sleep. Thanks.
So lovely, Emily, and that reference to Leica is gut-wrenching. Okay, so next is True Dowling. And True S. Dowling is a Bendigo poet, freelance writer and editor. She has taught fiction, poetry and non-fiction at continuing education, TAFE, university and privately for 21 years. Her poetry has been awarded, read and published in Australia, Ireland, the UK and USA. Thanks, True.
Thanks, Anne. Thanks, everyone. Beautiful poetry so far. Really loving it. The Blue Bowl. The blue bowl holds the sky. Clouds of torn bread in chicory, coffee, milk and butter adrift as tepid sunlight. Feathers etch its patina from base to edge, solid as a satellite ear broadcasting potential fill, the past. Wide the lure of taste, lips methodically part, pause, meditate on spoon, clinked on crockery, raised to mouth, slurped. The blue bowl holds this morning ritual, placemat, sugar, teacup and saucer laid out like a clock face around you. You, scented, sat with the cat curled on your lap, aged oak creaking beneath you, chair framing habit, fridge and radio syncopate, humming down hours, days, years of use in stillness. A simple meal, the most important in a simple vessel. In my hands, this emptiness. The food is gone. You're not here to need it. Your hunger dispersed, thin as stratosphere. The bowl still a blue I can't name. Thank you.
Thanks so much. That combination of simplicity and sophistication is very lovely. Okay, so next we have Dominique Heck. She lives on unceded sovereign Wurundjeri land. Heck writes across genres and disciplines and sometimes across tongues. Her works include 5 books of short fiction and 12 collections of poetry. The second edition of After Cage, Liquid Amber, is fresh off the press. Thanks, Dominique.
Thank you so much. I think I've unmuted myself. So I'm going to read the envoy, which is a response to the to Sharon Modogal's Alchemy, which is actually the cover of Poetry of Encounter. The envoy. Imagine the scorching hour, a woman, dust, covered in grief, burdened. Something else, alive or not, writes a letter in dripping sun. The writing is slow, blurs, doesn't want to end. Through the window, I saw no sun, something more sinister. A towering column of smoke rose behind a hill. Flaming bark fell from the sky. Spot fires rained down. Embers collected against the window frame. Flames gushed forth. The skylight shattered. The roof caved in. The fire flared, flowed in furrows, crackling as unforeseen facts. Roared an eye, lurched and burst to the melting fly screen, burning tree roots, airborne embers. Something else, alive or not, called my name. A woman, crossed, coated, and grief struck. Her lover gone, lexicon shrunk to nothing. Shivers and heaves, cracks and curses in this scorching hour. Legs curled on black, cinders, carpet. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank
Mm.
you, Dominique. It's always wonderful to hear you read, and the music and percussion that you bring to your poems is very striking. Thanks. And the last poet in this set is S. Fung. And S. Fung is astounded to be a poet based in Nam. Her poetry has appeared in Australian Poetry Journal, Rabbit Journal, and Borderless, a transnational anthology of feminist poetry published by Recent Work Press. She lives online at waffleiron.girl.com.
Mm.
Thank you all. My poem is called Clot and Marrow, and I'm going to apologize in advance if it's a little noisy. I'm actually sitting in a pub. I was in between venues. So just a little bit of Melbourne atmosphere. Cheers to you all. Clot and marrow. When you are
Could you just pause a minute, because we've got a little technological problem here.
We just lost sound from you,
Yes,
Ez. You
we
were
just lost sound.
we
So
had
could
your
you start again? Thanks. Just say something so I can hear that it is restored, if you wouldn't mind. No, we can't hear.
No, we had
How's
you.
this?
Yes.
How's this? Good?
Yes, good.
Yes,
All right,
gotcha.
I'll start again. Clot and marrow. When you are 5 and you love marmalade on toast for breakfast, and your father, whom you've never heard raise his voice, breaks a chair in the next room, and your little sister, the size of a watermelon and smeared in jam, reaches out for your wrist, and your mother scoops you both up, bundles you into the car, drives down the street in a way that even your 5-year-old self understands as a death wish. And you don't remember how you ended up safely back in bed. You look up to see a rare evening star. When you are 5 and this happens, your bones are still malleable enough that you can find the anger in yourself, lock it in your bones, knit it into your marrow.
We'll have to pause again. Sorry, we just lost you. Just maybe 2 lines ago. I don't know what's happening. No, we can't hear you. I'm sorry. Not yet, no. What did you do last time? Any suggestions, Pauline or Rose?
How's this?
Oh, yes, got you again. Yes.
I'm sorry. So
Maybe
I'm so
2
sorry.
lines
Let me go
back.
back.
Yeah.
And you look up to see a rare evening star. When you are 5 and this happens, your bones are still malleable enough that you can find the anger in yourself, lock it into your bones, knit it into your marrow, and once you're done, you train your eyes on that distant star, determined to follow it. Your most vivid colors bleed out of you each month, along with clot and marrow. There is nothing left for your art but pastel and shades of gray.
Thank you so much. It's such a strong poem. I'm very glad we got to hear the ending of it. So that's the end of the first lot of, was it 12? I think it was 12. And what a moving experience it was to hear those, all of them strong poems read by the poets. So thank you so much. Really fantastic reading.